Welcome to Powerless to Powerful with Angela Bennett, a show that brings a sassy mix of transformative advice on health, relationships, love, career, and mindset shifting, together with some fun and laughter. Powerless to Powerful with Angela Bennett begins now. Welcome to our Powerless to Powerful podcast. Today I have my amazing guest, Sylvia Tsui, all the way from Hong Kong. Sylvia is a co-author in our latest anthology, The Greatness in You, with Les Brown. She has an incredible story, and I am so honored to have you here as my guest, Sylvia, one of my co-authors, international bestseller and #1 bestseller on Amazon. Yay!
Yay! Thank you, Angie. That was
Thank,
nice introduction.
thank you,
Thank
Sylvia, and
you.
thank you for being here. Could you just tell us a little bit about your journey and how you came to be a part of The Greatness in You and how you came to be a part of my podcast and show? We'd love to hear all about you and your experience and your journey in life.
Well, I'm just a regular housewife, as I thought, but I was going through some really difficult times a few years ago, which got me into a hospital, and so that's how everything changed, right? I was having fever for a long time, for a few days. I was in the hospital for 10 days, but I had fever, rashes all over my body, and my skins were peeling and all that. And I was in an isolated room. And at one point, I thought I was going to die, right? And then I thought, oh, all these things I wanted to do, I'm not able to do. And and then I was sleeping most of the time because I was so weak. And during that time, there was like a golden energy that surrounds me. And I was like in my dream state, I was seeing a golden gate. So it didn't went further than that. But then when I woke up, like I feel much better and I slowly recover, right? And actually when I was in the hospital, the doctor couldn't find out what was causing all that. It's certainly like high fever and rashes and skins were falling, right? And my hair were falling too, like everything. It was really bad. But then it was pretty obvious after that time when I was surrounded by the golden energy and the dream-like state, everything slowly get better. So, and after I come back to normal life, I search for the answer and I get into energy healing. I work with like different kinds of energy tools and get into life coaching because I thought there's so many people I wanted to help, and why am I wasting my time, right? Because before I feel like I was dying, I feel like there's something I needed to do, right? I haven't done my mission yet on Earth, so I can't just die yet. So I wanted to, when I come back, I wanted to study a lot more about energy and all, like about life in general. And so now I am a certified energy healer, a certified diamond life coach and business coach, and I'm here to help people to manifest and create a life that they truly want. And it is all based on my own experience and my knowledge about what I learned after the events in my, the hospital events.
Did they ever find out what was wrong? What happened?
They said it could be some kind of allergy to medication, but I wasn't really taking like a medication. It was maybe some. I was drinking like what is it called, the blueberry juice or something like that. It's elderberry. Sorry, it's elderberry. Where in wintertime when you get a cold, you drink that, right? But I've been drinking that before, so they just think that it's allergic reaction to that. But what I realized is more. It's more than that. I mean, it may be the cause of it, but actually everything before the events, my life was going really bad. Like I had an online business which is losing a lot of money, and I was in a really bad mental state. My family were not, not very happy at that time, and everything was just going really bad. But then, yeah, I think that's just a wake up call for me to really search for the answer. Like, why am I here? What is my purpose? And yeah, just to find out how to help other people to recover, to heal from from that. And so that now it's my mission to help many people to gain back their power and to be able to live an abundant life.
That is so beautiful. I thank you for sharing your story, because I can only imagine that there are a lot of people who are not living their true authentic lives, and they're not fulfilling their purposes. And this is one of
Yeah,
the things that I love about this podcast, because it's for people who have gone from places of despondence and powerlessness, or being unsatisfied in life, and not and I guess not being authentic and honest with themselves, and then something happens, whatever that pivotal moment is in life. For you it was
yeah,
almost death, to change and to go searching for the answers, because often we go through these trials and we're like, oh, why me, and why is this happening? But the moments like that, the moments that are hard and painful, they make, or destructive even, they make us go searching and digging for the answers, like you have done. And
yes,
and it often is that pivotal moment, and that moment where we can yell plot twist, or something has to change, something has to shift, for me to be able to move from this part of my life, this stage of my life where I'm really unhappy. And even your family and your finance and your business, everything was being so affected in this
yeah,
particular phase and stage of your life, or season, if you want to call it a season, for you to then have that space and that time and that awakening as such, to move into your next phase of life. Which then, the beauty of that is, what you do now is also help other people find their thing, their purpose, their passion, their healing, their whatever it is in their life that helps them progress and transition into their powerful status. And I love that so much. So thank you for sharing that with us. And this is I guess, a great segue into my empowerment quote, because my empowerment quote for our session today is, don't be afraid, be focused, be determined, be hopeful, and be empowered. And that is by Michelle Obama, actually. And I'm interested in your take or your opinion on that empowerment quote. I'd love to hear your insight on that.
yeah. I think fear is one of the things that stop us. And I, there was another quote that says that we are not actually fear of doing something, but we're actually fearing discovering our own power. right? Because we are so powerful as a human being. And I think after, my hospital events, I came to know every one of us are so powerful. And most of time we just don't know, and we hide it, and we even suppress it. And that's when we have problems, when we really suppressing our own power. So yeah, I think we shouldn't fear of us. We should let it come out. And when we are afraid of doing something, we just seek our voice inside, and then we listen, and it will give us strength. It will lead us to where we want to be. And it may not be like just sudden like that, like 1 minute you are totally mess, and then the next moment you are okay. But it is a process that comes slowly, and it just gives you so much power if you seek that what's within you. Yeah.
I love that so much. So, in life, when we're striving for growth and success, what has your growth and success journey been like?
I think it is a work of progress. I think growth and success is not a destination, or if I have already reached a certain point, but it is always a work in progress. A lot of times we think of success as something that we need to reach, like a certain level. Maybe I need to make certain amount of money, or be certain kind of person to be happy. And in doing so, we postpone our happiness. We just keep, thinking if we reach that, then we can be happy. We are setting all these limits on ourselves. But actually, it's the journey that's most important, right? When we set a goal, we always, I think most of the people that I know, they set a goal and they use that goal to beat themselves up, because if it's too big, they can't reach it, and they look at the reality and say, oh, I'm not good, and I'm so disappointed about what happened. Why am I not able to do it? Right? They use the goal to beat themselves up. But actually, it is the process that we need to pay attention to, and we need to enjoy the journey while we are, getting better, while we are reaching the goal. It is who we become when we are doing this journey, right? When we are reaching something high, we become totally different person. Like me today and a few years ago are so different. And it is really that journey that we need to enjoy and be happy about. So I always think of success and growth is like really everyday thing. When we reach a certain point, we want to expand again. We want to reach something else. So it's never ending. It's always continuous.
I really love that, Sylvia, because I really believe we need to, and I agree with you, and I really believe we need to celebrate the milestones as we go.
Yeah.
And sorry, you go.
No, you're absolutely right. Like every day, every step, we should celebrate our wins, because every day when we are trying to reach our goal, we become better, a better person. So a lot of times we forget about celebrating ourselves,
Right.
and we beat ourselves up.
That's so true. And there's a quote that says something about it's not the destination that matters, it's the journey of learning yourself or unlearning yourself. Something I can't quite remember. It's not the destination, but it's the journey of learning yourself that is the most important. And you've pretty much said that. And I absolutely agree with you. And it's so grand. The word grand comes to mind. It's so grand to see who you are today, but then look back over the last 12 months or 24 months. And hopefully, maybe, depending on your season, you need a telescope to look back because you've come so far.
Right.
But yeah, just acknowledging those steps every day even, because we forget, and we do. I know I myself have set goals and haven't achieved them, or even though I achieved them, maybe I wasn't impressed enough. Maybe it wasn't enough of a challenge. And you're right, we do sometimes beat ourselves up around those things, about missing the mark. Or wow, that was really powerful. Thank you.
Yeah. I think a lot of us do use the goal setting the wrong way, because we just think that we need to reach that point, and if we don't, then we are very unhappy, or even we don't allow ourselves to be happy if we don't reach that. Yeah, so it is very like different way to look at it, and once you change the way you look at it and use it to pull you up, and you really enjoy the journey, then this is gonna change you a lot.
Yeah. So along your journey, what would be one of the greatest lessons that you've learned that you would share with us?
Wow, that's so many. I don't know. I feel like every day is a lesson I learn. But I think very important thing is really mastering your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I work with the law of the universe, because the mastering our mind is like a child. That's what I call it, like unsupervised child. You just like to think this and that, and so many different things. And if we don't direct it to a certain direction, it's gonna have so many different thoughts about so many things, and it like focus on different areas. And usually it's focus on the things that we don't want to focus. Like if you perhaps your your business is not working the way you want, then you focus on that, and you ask, why is it not working? But instead, we should direct it into, how can I improve this, and how can I use this to help me to get better, right? But a lot of times it gets complicated when we have our feeling and our emotions that can mingle with our thought, right? And now I think the most powerful way is to learn that our reality is coming from our actions, right? Whether we take certain action that leads to a certain path, or not taking action is a choice also. But what drives the action is our emotion, right? Our feeling. Like today, if I'm not motivated, I'm not gonna wake up to do so many things. Or if I feel beat up, I'm gonna just lay in bed. So our feelings are something that really controls our actions or inaction. Just like before the interview, right? Today I feel like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. All those feelings, or maybe I shouldn't come on the podcast. Who am I? Like my mind is telling me all this story, and I'm feeling a certain way because I'm because of the thought that I have. So now that I realize it's just my thought, that's like, it can be from programming from the paradigm that in the past I have, right? And our thoughts are coming from the paradigm that we subconsciously take on when we grow up, and that affects the way we feel, and that affects the way we action, and our reality was created by that. So I think what I learned is really to take control of the mind, to direct it to the way I want it to go, instead of the way I don't want it to go. So that is a great thing that I've learned in my life. That I think it's really, really powerful.
I agree with you completely. Our mindset is probably the most important thing that we need to set up and start our day with. And
Yeah.
even taking note and taking capture the thoughts that will ultimately produce inaction or action, as you were saying, with our feelings and our thoughts. You're so spot on. I love that so much. And so what would make you feel inspired or like being your best self?
It is the people that I'm trying to help. When I see a friend or someone who told me someone else is suffering because the mental state or because of certain thing they go through, I feel like, oh, let me show them they can change that by changing their mind, by changing their thought. They can totally change their reality. Um, and it is that thought of those people who's suffering that inspire me to action. Because sometimes I think I'm the person who really just like to hide and just not very. I'm not an extrovert. I'm more like an introvert, right? And I feel like, oh, I don't want to put myself out there. And what if people don't like me? What if they're gonna say something bad, right? So, but when I have that thought, I thought of um, the clients I have, right? When I started coaching, I have people who really have great results, and there was one client who told me, hey, Sylvia, you have helped me so much that like your words are like breathing life to me. And she was suffering at that time, right? And so whenever I feel like I'm not motivated, then I think, what if what I do right now can, what if my message can just help one person to feel better and change their life? Then it's worth it. So whenever I don't feel like doing something and putting myself out there, I just keep thinking of that person that needs my help. And then I get out of my own self and yeah, do it. Just
I love that so much. And having endured depression, I was having a conversation with someone earlier today, having endured depression when I took the focus off myself and my own life and helped somebody else with what you're mentioning, it makes you feel so much better. It gets you out of your own head space and into your heart. And
yeah,
it's such a beautiful opportunity. And I remember in 2014, I was in such a bad place, and I having such severe depression and already attempting suicide at least once, and feeling like going down that path again. And I heard Les Brown's voice, and
oh yeah,
he is what made me he like that pattern interrupt of, oh my gosh, here I am wanting to die, but this man is speaking life into so many lives, and I've just had the opportunity to hear him. How, wow, if he can do it, I can do it. And it's like, if he hadn't shared his story, who knows where I would be today? If he had succumbed to his, I don't know, maybe the words that were spoken over him in school, that
yeah,
he was educably retarded. Like, if he had listened to that, if there hadn't been that teacher that spoke into his life and that transformed his life, who knows where I'd be? And if you weren't doing, if you hadn't had this illness that you ended up in hospital that had changed and transformed your life, who knows who would have missed out in your ripple effect and in your life that you've had the opportunity to speak into and change their life, and who knows whose life they're going to change. It's just
yeah,
it's like, I call it the ripple effect, because we just never know when we speak life into someone how that's going to transition and transform their life and impact someone else's. And it's such a beautiful thing that we get to bring and contribute to someone else's life when we take that focus off ourselves. That, yeah, there's so much power in it, Sylvia.
It is, yeah, when we get out of ourselves and just think of others and help others, then our problems just solve.
Yeah, and I think the mind chatter and the paradigms and the critter brain that talks to us and tells us we're not good enough, and it tells us these lies that we're so great at playing over and over and over in our heads. We have to take them captive. As we mentioned earlier, it's just so important because they can be so destructive. Yet
Yeah.
the reality is the opposite, and it's just so powerful. So
Right. We need to listen to a more positive voice, like less voice, and like so many other, like your voice. You are so filled with positive energy. And I think one thing we don't pay a lot of attention to is our mind, right? We train our body. We go to the gym and to become strong, but we neglect our mind a lot of times, and nobody tell us to train our mind like we go to the gym, right? And everything we hear actually matters. Like what we hear, the people we are with, and what we read, it really affect our conscious and subconscious mind, like slowly. And if we are not careful and we just like, go through social media and see all those people who are showing off their wealth or whatever, right? We think that, oh, well, I want to be like them, but then we don't know their story, and we just think, and sometimes they even like inaccurate information out there, and we believe it. So I think it is important that we listen to an inspiring voice and read books that constantly trains our mind to become stronger.
you're spot on. You're spot on. And on that note, in life, I mean, we experience successes and we experience wins. I don't know if you want to call them failures, because we do experience failures. I like to call them more of life lessons. But what are some of those important lessons that you've learned of failing forward, or just what can you bring to the table around those lessons that you've learned, or failing forward moments?
I would just say, what I learned is don't be afraid of failing. Yeah. So I used to own an online organic store, right? I I built my own website. I did my own purchasing. So
Wow.
I talked with the products vendors to get a deal and do the purchasing and do the marketing, do the shipping all by myself. So I
Right.
did that for a few years,
Wow.
and I think it was okay, but it wasn't really successful because it has a lot of things to make it successful, and I can't do it all by myself.
Mm.
However, even though eventually that I closed it down because it wasn't making money, it was just break even, and but it it's totally failed, right, from the perspective of the business. But I have gained so much experience, like how to set up a business, and I can help people when I do the coaching when they have um, areas that they need help with setting up business. I have that experience, right? And and I would just say, just it happens to everything in life. We sometimes are so afraid of failing, so we don't do anything. And the truth is, the more we fail, the more we get better, right? We fail and we learn what doesn't work so that we can work on what works. And that's how we improve. Like I think Edison, he tried like 10,000 times, right, to create the to I don't invent. Not is it invent? Use the word
Yeah,
invent
he
the
invented
light
the
bulb.
light globe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he just keep like how how did he think to himself when he failed like 5,000 times, right? I don't know. Like someone who is so strong and in telling yourself that this is gonna work, and that's how I need to train my mindset when I fail. I'm just saying, hey, this is just telling me one thing that it doesn't work. I'm going to try another way until it succeeds. So I'm going to try another way. And there's another story about KFC. I think the owner,
Colonel
I think
Sanders.
it's General Sanders, right? He retired and I think he sell his house or he doesn't have anything. He just had his recipe, right? And he was going through door to restaurants to ask whether anybody would buy his recipe. And when I learned that how many times he has locked on the restaurant, I was like, wow. Like I think he went to like 1,000 and more restaurants trying to sell his recipe and people just keep saying no. And how did he tell himself it's okay, right? When people say no to you. And I think uh, a lot of us just fail once and then we beat ourselves up and then we say, this is not going to work for us. And we just reaching our dreams, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to build that resilience. And by failing more and by failing forward, we can build that resilience and to eventually get to where we want to get to.
That's so true. And Colonel Sanders was like 67 years old, I think, something
Yeah,
around that. Like he wasn't 20, he was about 67. And he was
right.
still, and you're right, he continued to pursue that dream. So Colonel Sanders was about 67 years old and he just kept going because he believed in himself. He believed in his product. And even Thomas Edison, like he failed 5,000, 10,000 times, whatever it was. But he didn't say he wouldn't say that he failed. He said, I've just learned 10,000 ways that doesn't work. And
Yeah.
he just kept going. I mean, who counts that many times anyway? But you're right.
It's
You,
true.
yeah, you're right. Like I know I have tried my own things and once or twice or three times and just gone, well, obviously it doesn't work. I need to find something else. So yeah, really great advice. Thanks, Sylvia. That's amazing. Do you have a favorite quote or something that you live by or?
My favorite is by Wayne Dyer. He said, if you change the way you look at things, the thing you look at change. So it is like the perspective switch that is, I realize is so true. And they actually have like I think quantum science, they look at the article in um, in a glass, right? Um, when they when we like the atoms, is it called the atoms in the what is it called when they zoom into the very small cells or the energy of
I think
the
atoms,
little
like
atom?
matter.
Yeah,
I think atoms, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It actually when our mind change, it will move differently. So it is in reality, it's true that how we look at things will really change how that thing comes out, right?
Mm.
And I always remind myself to try to look at it in a different perspective. If I don't like the way things are, um, change the way I look at it, and then I feel better. And then when I feel better, I have different actions, right? And then my reality is shifted.
Mm.
So I think I really like that quote.
Mm. I really like that too. And it reminds me of an experiment that was done by, I think he was a science teacher, if I remember correctly. And it was with some jars of rice. And there was one jar where all the students spoke love and
Yeah,
encouragement to the rice. And the other jar was negative words and hate. And the one where they spoke the negative words and the hatred to actually, I think it's turned black and went moldy and all
yeah,
that type of thing. Whereas the one with the rice, with the love, it was okay. It didn't change, or it was affected less. And it just goes to show the power of the tongue and the power of the words that we speak. And a lot
yeah,
of the time, as we spoke about before, we're speaking those words of destruction and condemnation and ridicule over our own lives and in our mind, in a video loop that just plays over and over and over and over all day long. And
right.
so really taking control of what we say and what we speak, you're right, it has so much power. And what we're putting into our minds, or like you said, what we're reading and what we're watching, so important. It's so detrimental to whether we flourish or not,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we're all one step away, or one choice, or one decision away from the rest of our life or the best of our life.
right. Yeah, and we even just one word away, because if our words are so powerful,
Mm.
and our thoughts are too, and sometimes we so and our words
Mhm.
actually comes out from our subconscious. There's certain things that we keep saying that we are not aware of. It's like
Mm.
from our subconscious programming, right? But other people who's new can maybe able to spot that for you. If someone say, "Hey, you always say that word," and we are not even aware of that. But what we speak actually creates energy, and that energy will create our reality. So always be mindful of what we think about, what we say. It's very powerful.
It is so powerful. And on that note, do you have any advice or words of encouragement that you would empower and leave for our listeners on their growth journey of success and empowerment?
In my life, I've learned so many different things, but I think one of the really powerful things that I learned is to really understand the law of the universe and to really follow the law. Because all successes are temporary unless we really understand and follow the law, how the universe works, right? Just like gravity. If we don't understand how gravity works, then we can't really function here. But I mean, just like this laws of the universe, there's so many different laws. I think some of the important thing to know is um, if we are working against it, it feel like temporary success sometimes, but eventually we are not gonna that's not gonna last long, right? One of the law is the to service others, right? That is how we all humans are here to, like, everything here is to service others. Like if we, for example, if I have my business, if I just think about my profit and I just think about how I can make money from the business, um, then maybe I can learn all the strategies and I can work on my mindset and I can achieve that success temporary. But it's not gonna go bigger unless I align myself with the service, right? I really need to, when I align myself with servicing other and helping others, and that's coming from my mission, and like all my action words and thoughts are coming from that. My business will grow and it will keep continuously growing. But if I'm just thinking about how to make profit out of you, and then that's it, right? I can learn all the strategy. I can be successful temporary, but it's not going to last. And that's something that I really, really learned from my experience of from my hospital experience, and afterward working with my clients as well. And so one of my mission is to bring these laws to people, because I have a podcast, Unlimited Manifestation, where I just share all these different laws, because not some of them are seems obvious, but some of them are not. But if we are working against it, it's like a river. We're like moving upward, upstream, and the river just pushing you down if you're working against the law. But if you are working with the law, you don't need much effort. It just comes so easy. You're being carried by the wave, right? So it's much easier if we understand the law of the universe and how to work along with that.
I love that. That's so true. So I really appreciate you being here today.
No problem.
And your chapter is called The Greatness in You, and it's on page 224 of our book. And if you don't have a copy of The Greatness in You yet, you need to get your hands on it. What I would love to know is how people can get in touch with you, and also, do you have any other books coming up? What's next in store for you? I didn't know you had a podcast. I wasn't aware of that. So please feel free to share your how to find your podcast as well.
Yeah, my podcast is in iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. I have so you can also go to my website, www.unlimitedmanifestation.com. You can find me there, and you can send me an email at support@unlimitedmanifestation.com. That's where you can reach me, and I will be sharing all my knowledge and from the podcast. And I'm actually thinking about writing another book, but it's in the progress. It's not out yet. So that would be something that I would be doing. So yeah, just visit my website, and I will have some regular classes or your clients, your audience can check it out, and my podcast as well.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Sylvia. I really appreciate your time today. And yeah, you're a wealth of knowledge and information, and I look forward to getting to know you a little bit more. And I'm going to check out your podcast as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you to everyone for listening to our podcast and show today. And if you would like to get in touch with Sylvia, she has listed her website for you. And if you would like to get in touch with me, it's angieb.com.au. Sylvia, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate everything that you've brought to the table. Follow Angela on Facebook and LinkedIn at Angela Bennett, on Instagram at angieb_transformations, or visit angieb.com.au. And remember, your past does not define you, it refines you.